Hello. I always start it like a minute early. Happy Thursday, just so I can make sure it's working. Got a new guitar out tonight. Well, it's not a new guitar. This is an old guitar, but I haven't played it before. This is a custom Mike Baranick. This is the guitar I played on most every song on my first album. I played this guitar on the record. Back is Brazilian. You can see my look at that. You can see my phone. Brazilian rosewood. Top is this like Colorado blue spruce. I need to get it set up. The action's a little high on it because it's not been played much. I'm writing a song. I'm working on a song. Like as I'm waiting, I set my alarm like 30 minutes before these YouTube lives start so I can get down here and get everything set and I just sat down and started making this up. Don't know what this is anything, but you know, this is how it happens. Like I grab a guitar, I start strumming, and something comes out of it. So this is it. When the sun fades and the purple sky gives into night, I will find you. You will hear me calling through the dark. You can trust my heart. It's made to guide you. I would fight for you. I would die for you. As I was made to do. So I don't know. I'll keep going. I'll make up something. Or I'll throw it away. It'll just be another idea in one of these little notebooks that I got laying around everywhere. I told you guys, I always have a notebook with me. This is my current little pocket notebook that I'm keeping with me. This is an old journal. We're going to get to this later. I found this journal when I was unpacking some stuff in this room. And it's from years ago. Like I'm going to read you something in a little bit from 2006. It's one of the reasons why I like to journal. You can look back at it and see how far you've come. See what, the things. Of course, you write awesome things in journals. It would be great if everything you write in a journal is an awesome thing, but it's just kind of the way it is. Typically, for me as an artist, introspective, analytical, when I'm sitting down with one of these notebooks to start writing, I'm usually processing. And, typically those things can be heavy. So you find yourself in some heavy spot, working through a thought, working through, who you are. Are you going to be driven by the circumstances or driven by your principles? And a lot of times I have to sit down and remind myself what those are, who I am. It's great to come back years later and pull out a book like this and see what I wrote on September 30th of 2006 and see God's hand in it. I think that's really cool. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And my big plan for this Thursday night live is to not go on for 30 minutes like I did last Thursday. But so many of you showed up. There were like 40 people on the live last Thursday. And I couldn't bring myself to stop. It was fun. Stacks of journals you can't see. There's stacks of journals up here. I have boxes of them. For a while, when I was a teenager, they were just yellow legal pads, even that I would write on. And then I got into, wanting to buy a nicer leather journal. Recently, I got into these field notes. I bought some generic ones on Amazon. I bought some generic little notebooks like this, but they just kind of fell apart. This one's holding up pretty good. So yeah, if you're like, what do I get Warren for Christmas? Joker, don't give me anything. Okay, so I want to tell you about this journal entry I found. I will talk a lot about journals. If you stay connected with me, uh, I just journal a lot. I'm processing thoughts and ideas. They are, as I get older, the notebooks are to-do list as well. You know, things I need to do uh, that I might forget. You know, pick up today, get more beef pellets for the cows. We need some more cracked corn. Uh, those kinds of things. And then I'm stopping at the farm supply and looking through my notebook. But more so than to-do list for things like that, they are a place for me to. So in the Old Testament, I go on these little rants. Stay with me. In the Old Testament, whenever God would show up and do something, people would pile up rocks. They were altars. And the point of the altar was that anytime anybody ever passed by that altar, they would know that, hey, God must have showed up here. There's a pile of rocks here. There's an altar here. And it was a reminder, not just to the person that made the pile of rocks, that made the altar, that God showed up for. It wasn't just a reminder for them, but it was a declaration also and hope and encouragement to anybody else who would walk by to go, hey, God's still showing up. A lot of times for me, the journal entry is the pile of rocks. It's taking a sec to sit down and write down what I feel is happening in my life. Sometimes it's prayer, sometimes it's an answer to prayer. But I want to tell you, I found this journal in a box recently as we were unpacking, moving stuff into this house. And I just opened it up, started going through it. It goes back to, gosh, I have stuff in here from 2003. I don't keep just one journal. I know people who are pretty strict about just finishing one journal. I have multiple journals, so things jump around. But this one I found, this is 2006. Look at my scribbles. You can barely read my handwriting scribbles. I had a record deal at this time. This is 2006. This is, I don't know if it's before or after the Reach album came out. The Reach album came out in 2006. I don't know exactly what month that came out. I have to look it up. But this was September of 2006. I always wrote down the date and where I was. I was in Graceville, Florida. So I have a record deal. I am touring. I'm either working on the Reach album or the Reach album has come out. And this is what I wrote. I don't write in this thing much anymore. I guess nothing really happens that I want to remember. I've had a new booking agent for over 6 months. It's had its good, but mostly bad effects. Mostly, it's been a ton of work and headache with very little results. Meg and I are great. She makes most of this other stuff seem pointless. I would love it if my music career would have turned out differently. But all that has happened has shown me that I don't need this. My dream now, ... to have a family who feels loved, safe, and secure with me leading it. Warren. Now this, guys, I wrote that, and then I went on to tour that record, keep fighting in that industry, trying to make things. It was my dream. It was always my dream to have a record deal. From the time I was a kid, it was my dream to have a record deal. And I got it. You know, my first album came out in 2003. It did well. And I was like, oh, this is it. I'm touring with my heroes. And not too long after that, I started to see that it wasn't what I thought it was. The industry wasn't what I thought it was. But I was in it. And I had signed a deal and I had obligations, and my identity was all about that. So I made the second record in 2006. songs from my heart. And if you listen to that record, guys, I was in a tough place in that record. I was struggling with, what have I done? Like, what is this industry? What have I signed up for? I feel stuck. I have signed a contract. I am in this thing. And there's only so much I can share, but I was in a contract that wasn't the greatest. And you can't just, people go, oh, just get out. You can't. They own you. You know, it's really a strange thing. Well, they own, I should say this. Music. If I wanted to keep writing and singing, they owned it because I had signed these deals. And so in 2006, when I am putting out the Reach album, I'm in a tough spot. The song Reach is, I'm reaching for hope. I'm reaching for faith in trying to find the point in all of it. And I felt, even in that, I've questioned a lot of stuff. I've never like, I understand, I think I understand what people who deconstruct, define that term. But I understand that. Of course I understand that. It's questioning. And I think that everybody should question. I think that's good. I think God is okay with the question. Jesus himself on the cross, my God, why have you, I'm not afraid, and I don't think God is afraid of questions. But I've never doubted God. Even in my question and my doubt and my screaming, I'm still screaming at God. And I felt him reaching for me as well in that time. So I made that record, I put it out, and still just, no matter what I did, it didn't feel, I never felt complete. Like that was what I was supposed to be doing. And in a lot of ways, I don't know if that's what I was supposed to be doing. Regardless of, if you're in the music industry, there are certain hoops you have to jump through. Like I'm not just making an album with 10 to 12 songs that I love. I'm making an album with 10 to 12 songs that everybody feels pretty good about. I got people I got to answer to. And do they think the industry will approve of this? Do they think radio will play this? And so I didn't realize all that, I guess. I thought what I had always done is I wrote what I had felt, and that was it. But when you're in the music industry, that's not how it goes. I mean, people, regardless of what genre you're in, there are gatekeepers, and you're trying to, everybody's sort of pressuring you and speaking into it. And it's so hard to talk about this stuff without sounding negative towards it. Or I'm not trying to slam anybody. God bless them all. Do what you want. But for me, it just wasn't a good place. And so I tried to get out of it. After that, I even was like, I told my label, I told everybody, I'm just done, let me go. They wouldn't really. And Megan and I were in a tough spot after that. And I ended up writing the song Love Is Not a Fight after a fight with Megan that came out of that sort of season, this tough season where I don't want to be in this industry anymore. I want out of it, but I'm stuck. And I was taking that out on her. I was taking it out on other people around me as well, but I was taking that frustration out on her. And it culminated with this huge fight where I told her I was going to leave her. I didn't leave, and many of you have heard this story. I didn't leave that night, although I said I was going to. I turned around and went back in there and apologized, and I told her, like, I feel like I'm supposed to fight for our marriage as hard as I've just fought against it. And it wasn't easy. We began to fight for our marriage, and God did a cool thing and just turned up a cool thing. I underestimate that, right? Like, huge thing. Just turned our entire marriage around, our life around. My label asked if I would make another record. I was under a contract, and so I did. I turned in Love Is Not a Fight, and I just started writing songs and turning in songs. And pretty much that album, that last album, Worth Fighting For, I think that's what it was called. Love Is Not a Fight is the only song on that album that I said, this song must be on this album. The label really didn't want the song on the album because radio had said they wouldn't play a love song, especially a song about fighting for your marriage, because they felt like people might think it was offensive. So Christian radio said they wouldn't play it. And my label, although they loved the song, my A&R guy loved the song. He cried when I played it for him. No joke. And spoke into the song. Great A&R guy, great heart. But even he was like, man, Christian radio doesn't play love songs. It's a great song, but I fought for that song to be on the record, and then it later turned into something else, where got used in this movie and it turned into a thing. But every other song on that album was chose by the record label. I wrote them, and I would just turn in songs until they picked the songs that they liked, and we made that album. Because, like I said, I had just been in this fight for so long. It was kind of like, I'm tired of this fight, right? I just want my family, and that's where this journal entry that I just read you comes from. It just comes from this heart of like, man, is this really what it's supposed to be? Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life trying to be popular? This isn't why I got into music. I didn't get into music for that. I got into music because I felt like growing up with my parents singing songs about faith. I listened to a bunch of country music. If you were telling me, if even back then, I would have been a country singer singing songs about my faith. I mean, it's really what I was. That's what I did. I liked country stuff, but I was just writing what I felt, not what I thought people wanted to hear. But in the industry, it became write what people want to hear, because that's business. So after that album, it ended. 2009, I got a letter in the mail that I was being let go from my record deal, and it was over. My record career as an artist was a couple of months after my son was born. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. Music is all I'd ever done. But I had kind of felt crushed and like a failure, and there was no point. And I'll oversimplify this, but after a few months, a light bulb went off in my head, and I felt guidance, a vision on how to go at it again. But this time, as an independent artist again, creating the kind of music that I wanted to create, and just speaking and sharing and connecting rather than competing in an industry. And that's when I made the album, the Redbird album, which were just songs I wanted to write and wanted to record. And I went out, and from 2009, when I lost my record deal, where I was just kind of struggling and not really knowing what I was doing, and worried how I was going to pay my mortgage, to be honest. 8 years later, 7 or 8 years later, I had been led in a different other thing. My wife and I had this vision to like get out, to just build our family. And so we made a lot of financial decisions I started making great money, and we started living off less than we had ever had. I started having more opportunity and resources than I'd ever had before. And we were driving, cheap paid for cars that we bought at an auction, and living in a house that we could afford to pay for, so that we could just save up and invest and get ourselves to this place to where I no longer had to be controlled by, well, this is what you have to do, so go do it. I wanted to be led by my conviction, and I needed to put ourselves financially in this place. So I got myself in this place over the next 7 or 8 years where everything was really working. And what's crazy is when it all started working, and I finally landed on something that was both fulfilling for me and valuable financially for my family, it was so hard to quit. It was so hard to quit. How could I walk away from something it was finally working? Hard to explain. I have been in the place where I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage, and I've got to figure out how to make a living. That was hard. I ain't downplaying it. That was very hard. And I've also been in the place where I feel like I'm supposed to walk away, but I'm getting offered more money for the next tour than I've ever made in my life. And I have to look that in the eye and say, no. And I did it. I was in the back lounge of a tour bus. One of the biggest promoters in the industry made me an offer. And I told him, hey man, I care about you. I care about your family, but I can't do this. I'm done. And he's like, yeah, man, if I was you, I would take fall off too. And I said, no, I'm not taking the fall off. I'm done. Yeah, if I was you, you've been working so hard, you've done so well, you should take a year off. I was like, no, delete my phone number. I'm going home to my family. We haven't built a lifestyle that needs me to sustain this kind of thing because we've had this vision this whole time of we're building towards um, being guided by our principles and by our character rather than being guided by what an industry expects of me. And so I told him, I was like, I'm done. And I finished that tour. The last day of the tour was something like April 10th or something like that. Wherever the tour ended, wherever it was, the tour buses were parked outside. And my wife and my kids drove up there and picked me up so I didn't even have to ride the tour buses back to Nashville. It was that over. All the merchandise that was on the tour, everything I had, I left in the trailers and told them to throw away. It was done. And I came out here, and within no time at all, we ended up out here on this farm together. And this came true. Like when I wrote in 2006, all that stuff happened. Like 2006 album, 2009 an album, I lose my record deal. I got to figure out how to make this all happen. I'm not thinking about any of this. This is behind me. It's moved on. And 7 years of work, save, invest, finally works. And then the hardest thing I ever had to do, walk away from everything I had built because I felt like it was right. And then 7 more years has gone by out here on this farm, actually living this. And we get in this house, I unpack a box and I read, my dream now, to have a family who feels loved, safe, and secure. Man, he is capable of doing exceedingly and abundantly above what you ask or think. I know that story's all over the place. Give me some grace. I don't share it a lot, especially when I'm looking into a camera, it's really hard to not have my brain go, oh, well, who's going to hear this and misinterpret? My brain is doing 20 things at one time. And I'm so careful. I want to make sure that I'm not bitter. I'm not slamming anybody, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not pointing a finger at and saying anybody else is wrong. I just know my convictions and what had led me. And I'm so glad I walked away from it. I felt clearly that God was telling me that if I did not walk away from it, it would destroy me. And I can say today, like I'm so grateful for where I'm living, the peace that I'm in, and the place that I'm in, and to be making music again on my own terms, not having to care about what an industry wants me to create, but literally wondering, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to say next? What is this about? Am I writing songs about my farm? Okay. Am I writing songs about me and Megan and our marriage? Great. I can write about my marriage. I don't care if radio plays a song or doesn't play a song. Am I writing songs about my kids? Okay, great. Am I writing songs about my faith? That's fine too. I am a believer. I'm not opposed to that. It's just cool to be in a spot to where I can just listen to that voice and create, and to be sharing with you here, in my house with my family here, grounded in my convictions in a world that is falling apart in chaos. Lord, have mercy on all of us. But folks, be careful. Return to what matters. Do not follow after popularity. It'll destroy you. Be led by your principles. Biblical principles. If you're wondering what I mean by that, it's there for you. Don't chase after fame and fortune. It won't last. Make sure you know the goal. If you don't, someone else will define it for you, and you'll keep moving it. And you have to know when enough's enough. Draw that line. Enough's enough. This is what it takes for us. This is what we need, and be honest about it. Draw the line, and don't chase fame and fortune. Chase faithfulness. I say it over and over again. Faithfulness. Chase purpose. Chase conviction and connection and community. I mean, these are the things that matters, man. The other stuff's going to leave you empty. You'll find yourself at the end of your life realizing that you just chased something that someone else told you to chase, and you didn't even want it. You just did it because everyone expected it. Man, culture is loud. Culture is loud, and it has expectations for you. I'm on Instagram. I want you to be on Instagram, but be careful what you're scrolling through. Most of it is screaming for you to chase something. I've fallen for it. I've posted things because I feel the algorithm is encouraging me to post certain things, and then immediately write in a journal, don't do that again. You're not on here to critique other people's work. You're on here to create. Don't do that again. You're not on here to point out what other people did wrong. The Good Samaritan doesn't point at the problem. He becomes the solution. Don't point at the problem. Become the solution. And I write those things down, and I learn from it. Learn from it. Guide the culture. Don't let the culture guide you. All right, so I told you guys I got this little hymn my mom gave me, and I've been playing through these songs. I recorded a hymn yesterday and today, with my guitar, just guitar and vocal. And I'm working on it. Once I get this thing worked, I'm going to email it to everybody on my email list. Free. You can have it. It's just for you. For those people who are choosing to connect with me on my email list, I'm going to send it to you. If you're not on the email list yet, if you get on there before I send this out, you'll get it. It's at my website. This is probably my favorite song, and I think it goes well tonight. It's my favorite hymn, and it goes well with my rant tonight. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise, just to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, and how I've proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Well, I'm so glad I've learned to trust him. Precious Jesus, Savior, friend, for I know that thou art with me, and will be with me till the end. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, and how I've proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Oh, for grace to trust him more. All right, next Thursday night, 7 p.m., every Thursday night between now and my barn concert on August 2nd. I'm going to be right here, and I hope you'll join me. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Return to what matters, man. Pursue faithfulness, purpose, connection. Pulling for you guys. Thanks for your prayers. Thanks for your support. See you next time.